And you see what happens.
Yeah, it's going the other way.
Yeah.
Can we make these type of science toys for like adults?
I think adults enjoy playing with toys too, because in every adult there is a child inside.
Science achieved, friends. Hello and welcome to another episode of Friendship with Science. We are here at Azim Premji University today again with a very, very special guest, and also Shashi is there. So Shashi has been claiming to be a scientist. There is no proof. If anybody can find proof, please provide us with proof. We also want to verify. I went to the police station actually. They said we don't know any such persons. Anyways, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. Any questions you have, put that in the comments below. Today's episode is very, very special. Actually, I'll let Shashi do the introductions. But yes, hopefully you're going to really enjoy this one. Before that, press the bell icon, subscribe, whichever channel you're watching this on, and get ready to be mind blown. Okay, Shashi.
Yes, today we have a very special guest who has made friends with science for many, many years now, right? So it's very appropriate that we have Arvind Gupta on this show. Arvind truly needs no introduction, because he's been popularizing science for a very long time. He is a quintessential tinkerer, making toys from trash, from simple everyday items. A graduate of IIT Kanpur from the 70s, but has since made communicating science, playing with science, making friendship with science really his life. Arvind, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Sir, there are a lot of toys and they're all very exciting. But before and I can't wait to play with them, but before we get there, I just want to understand a little bit of your journey. A lot of people go, into IIT, but this is a very different career path or a life path, I would say, that you've chosen. How did this all happen?
Well, I was born in a small town in UP, Bareilly, and my parents never went to school. But my mother put us into the best convent school in our small town, St. Maria Goretti, my two elder brothers and a sister. And because of her, we did well. My eldest brother became the best pediatrician in town. Sister did MSc. One has several patents in chemical engineering. I went to IIT Kanpur. And those were the times of the 1970s, where there was a kind of a political turmoil the world over. There was the anti-Vietnam, people sloganeering about anti-Vietnam. There was in India, we had the Naxal movement, the Jayaprakash Narayan movement. In 1962, Rachel Carson had written a book called Silent Springs, which brought about it was the start of the environmental movement. The feminist movement was coming. Now, whenever there is a political churning of society like this, it unleashes a lot of social energy. So the 70s was a period of that kind. It's a point of inflection in the entire world. The people were asking very basic questions. We will not engage with the war industry. We will not make missiles. We will not make guns. We will not be taken up by patriotism. On a moral stand, we have no right to kill any human being. People were asking basic questions. And some of the people at that time thought that the best thing they would do is to go into science teaching. And one such individual was Anil Sadgopal. He did a PhD from Caltech, was a molecular biologist at the TIFR, and he did some experiments in the municipal corporation schools in Mumbai that science should be learned by doing, not just by rote method, not just by mugging up definitions and formulae. So Anil and Professor Yashpal, they made a small kit and they tried out in the municipal schools, and which got a very thumping response. And Anil got very excited with that. And then he started the Hoshangabad science teaching program, which was probably, after the country's independence, the longest science teaching activities program in the country, which inspired a lot of people. So I took a kind of a year off from my job in Tata Motors.
This was after your IIT days.
After my IIT. 75, I finished my graduation and got a placement in Telco. Now it's Tata Motors. And 2 years, the training was great because what you've never learned in the IIT, over here for 3 months, you're filing, running a shaper, you're gas welding, you're operating the lathe machine. It was very fascinating for a tinkerer. I liked it very much. As a matter of fact, I remember that they had given us green overalls. And once they made me engineer, I continued wearing those green overalls because they had pockets all over the place for tools. Many of my engineer colleagues didn't like that. But then they put me on a mass production line, which was boring, repetitive work. And then I remembered hearing Anil Sadgopal in 1972. And in this lecture, he basically said that when you are in a city, you have a very romantic image of a village. गांव का पनघट है और धान के खेत लहला रहे हैं. But once you go to a village, you encounter caste, you encounter class, you encounter gender. And he said, we're trying to work very hard, but still can't get to the poor kids. So that kind of, it was the intellectual curiosity. What is it? What is the ball game? Here is a person with such sterling qualifications who has left his job, trying to work in a village, and he's still saying that he can't make any inroads. It was an intellectual girl.
And by inroads, what is he attempting to do?
He's trying to reach out to children to teach them science. But the village zamindars, the rich people don't want poor children to go to school at all. So I took 1 year off, and that became easy because at that time that institute was funded by the Tata Trust, and this being a Tata company, they gave me 1 year unpaid leave. And I went there, and one thing which I liked very much was that they were working with ordinary village schools, not with rich children, where the poorest children go. But then I asked myself 2 questions: that what are the local things they're using to make a small models or a kit? And I found that there was very little at that time. So I said I must visit the local market, which was a local hut. Every Friday, people would spread out all their wares on the ground, and there would be bangles, there would be small mirrors, there would be ticklies, bindis, all these small boxes. So I said, I'll buy 1 specimen of each. And the challenge lies in trying to do something in science using this material, because this is accessible. You must not talk about Kanpur or Pune. And when I was getting my bicycle inflated, I saw this. Now, this is bicycle valve tube, where we actually pump in air in a bicycle. We use a bit of this. And bicycle was in the 70s, one piece of machine which had made inroads in all our villages, so accessible to everyone. And when I came back home, and if you take 2 matchsticks, they go very snugly, and they make a joint of 2, and you can teach by this is an acute angle, this is a right angle, obtuse angle. It's like a flexible coupling. You can transmit drive at any angle with this. If you have 3 of this, you can loop them together to make a very nice triangle. It's an equilateral triangle, a very special kind of a triangle, and all these angles are equal because these matchsticks are mass-produced in a factory, so the same length, so automatically all these angles are 60 degrees. With 4, you make a square, and the square is all prim and square. Give it a push, it becomes a rhombus. Patang ban jata hai, barfi ban jata hai. The hexagon, for instance, if you pull the hexagon, this becomes a rectangle. This becomes a parallelogram. But this is very, very shaky, wobbly. It's like an amoeba, which is constantly changing its outer profile. The pentagon, pull it, it becomes a boat-shaped, house-shaped, isosceles triangle. Again, very shaky. This distorts into a rhombus. But then you give a child a triangle, you can't do a thing to a triangle. A triangle remains a triangle. This is the bedrock of all civil engineering, that if you wish to make any structure stable, strong, to divide this into triangles. You can't make a bridge with square members, because if the train would come, the bridge would start doing a dance. It would collapse. You can't make a house with a truss with just square members, because you put tiles on top, it's just going to collapse. So I thought that this is a very nice, very practical way where a child gets can feel the phenomenon. Mm-hmm. And you can also you just poke a hole with a thorn or a needle and put a 3rd matchstick. It's a T-joint. If you were to insert all the 3 legs in the 3 vertices of the triangle, you make a tetrahedron. This is the tetrahedron. And we've just seen that the triangle is only rigid polygon. here is a 3D structure. Each facet is a triangle. And it's just logical to assume that it's a very fundamental structure. This is nature's own brick. All bonding is essentially tetrahedral. If it's a cubical bonding, these are two interlocked tetrahedra. And so then if you make these basic things, basic modules, you can put them together. This is a pyramid which perches atop a cube, and you make a little house. So this I did in the first month in 1978. And it made me very happy that this is something, for the first time, I thought I was using my engineering background for doing something. And this was my first book, Khel Khel Mein Mastic Models, which came into 12 languages, subsequently translated into Chinese. So this kind of hooked me onto science teaching. And I continued with that.
So one question, why is this triangle more stable than others? Like, what is the intuitive explanation for this?
Well, you can actually feel it, that it just doesn't move, right?
Yeah.
I think the movement is restricted with just 3. With 4, of course, you can,
4 is very
it's unstable. You can just make it planar, it just collapses like this.
This is about number of constraints.
Constraints, yes, constraints.
Right? Yes. So a triangle in that way is constrained fully, and therefore you cannot. Yeah. So it's a very fundamental counting argument that comes in over here to explain stability. So Arvind, I actually wanted to ask a question even before all of this, right? Because you went to an IIT, and was this because you wanted to be an engineer, or because you were just good at what math and science and so on, and you ended up there? Or
yeah, I think it was more like that, because see, my parents had never been to school, so there was no guidance, no one to guide us. And I topped my district in the 12th government inter-college Bareilly. I topped the district, and I got a 218 All India rank, and I got into electrical engineering, not because I liked electrical engineering, but because all the people, the first rankers had opted for electrical engineering. That's just because. But I think IIT did me a lot of good, because we heard so many. Had I not heard Anil Sadgopal giving a lecture in my second year, I probably would have gone abroad or worked with a multinational. It kind of changed the direction of my life. I thought I found something very deep within me, which I loved doing, and I was able to earn a living, a survival wage out of it. I never earned a commercial wage, but survival wage, but very deeply satisfying. I've been to 3,000 schools, and every school, when I show this, I see a gleam in the children's eye. I see a smile on their face. I think this is the most satisfying. This is better than any award I've ever got, which is sustained. And later I thought that we must put this together into books. I've written about 24 books on this. Many of them being translated to 8, 9, 10 languages, Indian languages. My books are copyright free. Anyone can use them. Anyone can, at least my books, anyone can translate them. And in 2003, I was given an opportunity. In Pune, inside the Pune University, beautiful campus, there is an autonomous institute called IUCA, Inter-University Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics. This was set up by India's most decorated astrophysicist, Professor Jayant Narlikar. He's Padma Vibhushan, kind of, you need to go down to put all these trophies in. But a man with a deep vision. He said, we offer a PhD in astronomy and astrophysics. We must also have a children's science center. If 20 years down, we need good PhD students. They don't fall from the sky. Someone must nurture them, imbue them with the love of science, instill the love of science in them right from the beginning. So since he started this about 35 years, every month there would be a popular science lecture in Ayuka, where some eminent person would give. We have about 500. First lecture would be in English, followed by the same lecture in Marathi or Hindi. And this has been a tradition there. And so he said that we are setting up a children's science center, and why don't you work away? I was very, I'd never worked in any institution, and much less a government institution. So I was very cheery about it, the bureaucracy there. Because all my life I collaborate with people whom I thought were nice individuals. They're responding well. They're good. They want to do something. But institutions have a very different dynamic. So I said, look, sir, I'm not looking for a job. I'm very happy making films, writing books, translating books, invited to so many places. I've worked in 25 countries. And this is like, he said, look, you can do something better over here. And the science center is still not working. You can give it shape. And I was really fortunate to find two amazing colleagues. As a matter of fact, I don't even know the right side of the camera from the back side. I don't know how to hold the camera, but one colleague. But I created conditions where we could keep doing these things. In the 11 years, I think we had 3 Nobel laureates visiting our small science center, 25 FRSs. Very good people came, shared their ideas with us. People translated books for us. Well, we were not very good at science or maths either. But I think that one thing we were very good. We were the best clerks of our times. We were good documenters. Every day, we either made a small film, we made 2-minute short films. Because everyone was trying to catch eyeballs. So we said that no faces. Faces are boring. Ideas are interesting. People die, ideas remain. So there'll be no face in a book. You have the material. Step 1, step 2, step 3, once a toy is made, every time there would be a new child playing with this. These are your heroes and heroines. So we made 2 minutes. We made 1,100 videos and got them dubbed into as many languages as we could collaborate. Anyone who came to our center to see toys, I said, you know Punjabi? Please dub. We'll show you toys. If you dub, you have to reciprocate. So today we have 8,700 videos on YouTube. 100 million kids have seen them. And these all come from a 400 square foot room with 3 people with a lot of passion in them. So from a government institute, you can do something absolutely worthwhile. And this is one idea. We also promised that we are never going to sell anything. I said, I come from privilege. I can earn a living anywhere. And so everything that we do should be for the poorest children across the globe. It's not just it should be accessible free. That we copyright free. People can dub them, use them the way they want. They can adapt them, modify them to suit their needs. We made this very clear. And I think the response was very good. If you're forthcoming, if you're wanting to help others, there are many others. There are good people in society who want to help you. There's Sujata Godbole, who translated 36 books by Asimov into Marathi. We have today 800 books into Marathi. Many of them inspiring biographies of scientists, of Nobel Prizes, Nobel laureates, which never existed before. So that's the kind of thing which sustained this. It was not a typical center. We would start with a TED Talk or some very good music in the morning, because and very unlike a government center, we would have something inspiring every day in our center. I'll give you one example. This is C.V.V. Shastri, who lives in Bangalore now. And he's a master with the scissors. The way he cuts paper, you can make a film. He came to IISER Pune for some work. And in the morning, he took an auto and came to our center. So I got bored there. So we left everything which we were doing. And my train is at 5 p.m. From 10 to 5, we shot 8 films with him. We exhausted all the creative things which he has done, kept everything under his name, designed by Shastri. We put all of them. We're very happy.
Cutting paper,
making all origami, maths through paper folding. He was a very, very skilled man. So we did this. So we were clerks of our times. Very good. Nothing else. This person will go away. This is the only time we have. So we kept everything aside, document. So we just kept documenting other people's works. The other thing which we did was that, education is a very, very stony terrain in our country. Even if it's a good seed, the seed will wilt away because of lack of nurturance. There is no soil to nurture. And our task was every day to translate, put new books on our website, because India is such a large country with hardly any public libraries. School libraries are shut. The digital technology gave us the opportunity to make them accessible to all teachers, anyone who wants to read. And with a country of 1.4, 140 crore people, there are many, many learners, many, many learners. Today, about 2 crore books have been downloaded from our website. This is just testimony to the thirst of knowledge in our people. And I urge people to translate into Kannada, into Marathi, into their own languages, and every day create this fistful of soil. Because unless we have the soil, there'll be no spring harvest. This is the kind of dream which propels me. This is the philosophy.
Very, very interesting and very amazing to hear as well, because it's pretty much like laying the groundwork for everything else to happen. But I'm still very interested in the toys.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of the best ones.
See, like, for instance, in class 8th or 9th, irrespective of which board you study in science, in chapter on electricity, you learn about the electric motor. Now, at home, but no child ever makes electric motor. You may learn about the Faraday's laws of induction, how EMF is produced, but no child ever makes a motor, despite the fact that in a typical middle-class home, there are a dozen places. The fridge is a motor, the mixer is a motor, the washing machine, the fan, the cooler, the AC is the pump, which is driven by a motor which pumps water. No child ever makes a motor, which is such a shame. Now, this is 1990, I know the precise date. Before that, we used to make a fairly complex motor, difficult, conky. You need a lot of adjustments in that. It would work for some time, then stop. But this idea of a brush comes from a magazine called as a physics teacher. Now, this is basically a coil. There's a coat of insulation, otherwise it would be a short circuit. Now, if I put it like this, if this is insulation, no current would flow. So one side you scrape completely, so one is all copper. Other side you scrape only 3 sides. This is still the insulation. So whenever the copper is in contact, current flows. When the insulation comes, switch off, on off.
So when you say 3 sides, you mean 3 sides of this thing here.
And this is a battery, 1.5 volt normal battery. This is the old cycle tube. These are 2 safety pins, and this is 2 ferrite magnets, which are a rupee each. So if you have the battery, it takes 5 rupees and less than 10 minutes to make a motor like this. I'm just going to insert the coil. 1.5 volts across this. There you are. And there it goes.
It's just mind-blowing.
You see a gleam in the eyes of the children. Children just, while walking, they're playing with this. And I think one of the cardinal principles of education is from the concrete to the abstract. Once they make the motor and they get excited about this, then they will dig deep into the theory. What makes it work? They're curious minds, they're fresh minds, and then these laws of induction will be very deeply etched. They will take them to a higher level of understanding. That's what I feel. And this is not a rich man's game. A battery and 5 rupees, that's it.
So you're saying that with this, a kid immediately is developing an intuitive sense for the phenomenon that's going on, even before they encounter it in a textbook or something like that, which is what is happening now.
It's such a pleasure making it work.
Yeah, of course, exactly.
It's empowering.
I mean, the kick is, yeah.
And I have obviously all of us have studied this.
That's correct.
But when you see it, it's so much like, it's so simple. It's so simple. It's just 2 safety pins and a wire and a magnet.
Yeah. But we have adapted. We've done a lot. It's gone through a lot of metamorphosis. But the basic idea of the brush, which is the heart of the enterprise, remains the same.
Yeah. Exactly. So you've been building these toys for years now, right, Arvind? And you've been taking them to kids and so on. Have you sort of kept track of what is happening to these kids afterwards who have seen them, etc.? Or do you not even bother? I mean, I'm just curious to see.
No, I think we don't have the wherewithal. Look, we're not a research institute. We're just 3 tinkerers put together.
Not just that. Maybe let me sharpen my question a little bit, which is that, is it a worthwhile exercise to keep track, to see if this is making a difference, or that is not of the concern here?
What I see, I get scores of letters. I used to make, in the 90s, Doordarshan. I made programs for the NCERT. NCERT has got a television wing called as the CIET, Central Institute for Television. educational technology. And I made 150 films with this. This film on the matchstick model was beamed on Doordarshan 200 times. I went to the remotest village, they recognized me. Sir, we have seen this. So the kind of, so what we,
Percolated to, yeah.
many people, because of the reach of the medium is so immense. At that time, there were no channels. It was dominated by Doordarshan. That made it go very far off, and more than the printed word. This is what. There were two other things I'd like to show you. One is this. This is a very nice experiment. You can see that this is one of those cement bags or fertilizer bags. This is woven plastic sacks, and you can find a torn one lying somewhere around. What we did was we just took about a dozen strands and tied a knot over here. Now, if I just rub these strands, they rub against each other and they acquire an electrical charge. And you can see that my hand has opposite charge. That's why it's attracted to my hand. So to demonstrate static electricity, in schools, we still talk about the green leaf electroscope or gold leaf electroscope, right? Which I've never seen working in any school. But this is something, imagine if a child brings a torn bag into the whole school can take the experiment back into the community. And this is real people science. And our people in the NCRT and the SCRTs, they read 10 silly books and they churn out another 11 silly book, right? They have to engage with people, see what are the contemporary materials available. There is, because trash changes with time. What was available in the 70s is very different from what's available in this century now. So, very nice experiment. Another one is that we make 30 different pumps. You can throw water to 15 feet, you can make a sprinkler, this is a balloon pump. You can inflate the balloon. And I'm just putting a balloon, and the mouth of the balloon is slightly bigger, so I'm holding it tight. And if I keep doing this, I can burst the balloon. We've also a slogan. It's a very anarchistic, very provocative statement that the best thing a child can do with the toy is to break it. Why do children break toys? Because they're the only curious cats left. They want to know what is inside the tummy. And a good toy is one a child can pull this apart. And this is a whole cycle tube, and these are 2 film cans. And you can see that we just put a small valve over here. This is green light, and this is red light. It's one-way traffic. That's what the transistor is. It's a one-way traffic. And this is the other valve over here. That's it. I think if children make toys like this, they would have much deeper insights into the phenomena. It's very empowering. Then science becomes empowering, that we can make it to do things for us, right? It's practical. It's not like a dud toy or a dud model which is sitting and lying, gathering dust in the school laboratory. You're actually making things which work. And one more example I want to give you, that we often say that a teacher is an epitome of knowledge, and the task of the teacher is to pour out knowledge into these empty cups, and the children symbolize. When we went to Ayuka, inside the university, there is only one school. It's called as a Vidyapeeth Shala. It's like a municipal school. Children of the Malis, children of the security staff, very poor children, maid servants, they come there. 2,000 children. So we swore the first day we're going to work with this school. Why? It's a neighborhood school. No other reason. People would come. Every week we would have 2 busloads of kids come from Mumbai to Pune to us. And I felt very hollow in my heart. We're not able to do good to our children nearby. These rich kids it's like a picnic for them. Now these kids came, and for the first time they had access to magnets like this. And they made the motor, so they had access. And the next day the kids came and showed us this experiment. Now this is not just children are capable of creating original knowledge.
They have come up with
Yes,
this experiment.
yes.
It's not that you.
No, there is no reference in literature to a toy like that. You just take these touring magnets. This is the bicycle spoke, and you just put it, and it comes. You can see the lower end is vibrating because it's off center. And then you take a paper cup,
Sorry, why is
ordinary
it-
teacup, because the hole is much bigger than the diameter of the spoke. So this is off center.
So even if I had a plastic ring, it would do this. It wouldn't.
No.
It's important that it's a magnet.
It is magnet. It is also
Yes.
sticking to
Exactly.
it.
So
It's
there-
sticking.
right.
Yes. So you take a paper cup. This is the bottom part. Make a hole and put a magnet in the front and inside, and they stick to each other. No glue required. So you see a very clear ring inside. And this is what the kid showed us. And if you just leave this, designed by 6th class kids of a municipal school, no reference in literature. One day the Chinese are going to make a commercial toy out of it and sell it to us. Right.
Wow.
So Arvind, this actually leads me to ask.
Yes.
Like, I'm sure there's new physics. There's new. When I say new physics, I mean new mechanisms to be discovered here, right? So, for example, people debated for many years the mechanism of a spinning toy, right? So, do you think some of your toys are leading to new scientific insights of this
I
sort?
think they're kind of engaging kids
They're
to do
engaging
things.
kids.
Engaging kids.
So I'm asking the counter question, which is, are they engaging researchers to figure out, hey, how is that thing working?
I don't think in our country at least.
Not in our country.
No, not in our country. People are, deep physics problems of, but I think very few people. The only person, there is the National Book Trust did a book called as The Joy of Making Indian Toys. That book was written by Sudarshan Khanna, who was at the NID for 40 years. I was privileged to translate that into Hindi for the National Book Trust. Sundar Salone, Bharti Khilone. But he was a designer. He didn't come, but in this book he has listed that how many things in physics can you learn from these toys?
Yes,
Sudarshan has made a mention of them.
This is crazy. There's so much going on
There's so much
inside
going
this.
on. And
It's not as
costs
simple as
no
it
money
looks.
at all. No money
Yeah,
at all.
and it's not as simple as it looks.
Exactly.
There is a lot of physics
Because
in
there's
it.
a lot of, yeah, exactly.
Because it starts in a particular way, then it kind of finds its balance. Like, it's a little slow to start. It vibrates a lot, but then it comes, and then it becomes stable in the middle. I don't know how this is happening.
That's very cool.
Terrific,
Yeah.
it's so much to some deep physics inside this.
There
But
is,
just-
there is. That's what,
but-
that's what I'm,
Every child can afford it. Every child can be intrigued by it. I think it's a sense of intrigue. We may not have all the answers, but to be intrigued by the phenomenon.
Yeah.
And it will keep mulling in you and will keep developing. And someday you will find another new pattern.
Yeah. I think it's something to do with
How
the
stiff it
magnetic
is.
field and
So-
how it's distributed. or
So, see,
something.
for example, I just let it go and I hold it tight or let it loose, it does different things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And essentially,
crazy.
it's very, yeah.
It's this was.
So
this is
there
an
is very
insane
interesting
toy.
physics. Yeah, this is very,
You
very
can
clever.
just study this.
This is very, very,
learn a
very
lot.
clever.
It leads to lots of areas.
Absolutely. No, and I have a friend. Maybe you know Manu Prakash. Manu Prakash. So Manu Prakash is a scientist at Stanford, who also, by the way, studied at IIT Kanpur.
When he made the microscope.
Exactly. So he's taking toys of this sort and asking, can it be put to scientific use? So he takes, there's this thing called a yo-yo. Two strings and a-
just a spinner.
Just a spinner.
With a button and a spinner.
We've all
And
played with that
the speed
toy.
is about 14,000 RPM.
And he's used that to make a centrifuge that you can use in a forest.
Wow.
So it's very clever.
And you can analyze, you can separate the parts for blood in that plasma. This is exactly what they did in this.
So clearly it's interesting as a toy, but it's also interesting as new physics, but also perhaps some interesting application that comes out of it.
That's great. Just wanted to understand one more thing, because you worked with children so much and how you have taught science to so many children. What is the I mean, some kids are very good at learning from textbooks. But what is a typical child like? What do they learn from? What are some of the insights? Like, if anybody watching this and want their children to be interested in science.
One thing what we saw repeatedly. See, 11 years I worked in the Ayuka Children's Science Center. Every week we had 2 free workshops. Any school could book it. 50 kids would come to our center. They spend 3 hours with us, make a dozen toys with their own hands and take it back. It was a very unique experience for any child. And all these years, one thing we found that schools have very stupid notions about science. They would send, because Ayuka is a very prestigious institute, right? Only the 90% would be sent. And they would be very bad with their hands, right? We repeatedly found that the children who don't score very high in terms of scholastic achievements by way of marks are much better with their hands. And these kinds of activities, they refurbish their confidence. That look at this 90% chap. He can't make the motor, I can make the motor work. Right? It puts them on top of the world. So it boosts their confidence that we are good in something. For the first time, they discover. In school, there is no mechanism apart from your scholastic, your ability to be able to mug up and spit out. That's the only on which you're evaluated. But not on your ability to be able to. How green are your fingers? How good are you with it? So this. And even those children, if you made a motor, then you would have much greater insights. Another very simple example which I want to. This is something which is Montessori. I did this in 85. This is National Association for the Blind. There was a competition to make preschool toys for Montessori children. And I thought the best thing is the old Hawaii slipper. Right? It's light on one side, dark on the other. And this is with a cobbler's knife. 3 minutes to cut it. And if the black stands on a white background, and because you've not cut it with a fret saw, so there is no sawdust. So it stands fit, you don't need a backup plate. Imagine a blind child can really feel the outline. So we made 40 toys just using old slippers, which for blind. India has 1.2 crore blind kids. The largest number of blind anywhere in the world are in our country. So this brings a kind of ray of hope into their lives. Toys like that. We often just imitate the West. One of the things which colonialism is not to apply your mind. Don't love your situation, right? Always crib about what is not there. See, unless we love our reality, it's unlikely that we're going to change it or bring about some change. So one is look at things critically around you, and then find what you can do with that. In the Indian reality, this Hawaii slipper is much better than all the things which have been done in the West for blind children. Accessible, a teacher can make it. If something goes wrong, you can repair it. You're much more empowered to deal with this. This is another one, which is it's a 100-year-old toy, and this has been a darling of physicists. Any physics teacher who wants to excite the class, it's a pencil with a rubber on one end, because if you've done something wrong, you can rub it, erase it. Just 3-4 notches, V notches, with a pen knife. They should be slightly deep. Take a card sheet. I made a crisscross to locate the center and made a big hole. This should be slightly loose. It should not be tight fit. Put a pin inside, and this white rubber is like a stopper. Otherwise, this propeller is going to fly. So all refill. If I just rub this, something amazing happens. This has been there for 100 years. And I tell children that school, if you go to a school, tell them, is the school boring? Kids laugh. Yes, they know it's very boring. I said that if you want to survive a school, you must learn how to make this toy. Why? Because the teacher is dictating notes, you should be writing. And when the teacher turns her back, every child should be doing this, because that's what God sent them for. Right? This is how you survive school.
I'm still not able to understand how this works.
You could hold it closer. There's a trick to doing it.
There's a trick to doing it.
Hold close. Oh, no, hold the refill close, very close.
Like this?
No. I'll show you. I'll show you. See, hold this. Not far. You're making. See, if I do like this, all sound, no work.
Oh, okay.
Hold it close. Rub it. It's a transfer of energy. Rub it hard. You'll get it. Hold the pencil from. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
now it's working. Got it. Okay.
But still, why does it work?
This was.
Why does it go one way, not the other way?
Okay, kids can make it go the other way around. People have freaked out on this. They've made a T. You have one pencil and you put another pencil like this. So you made a T. You can put two propellers here, two propellers here. You can make two go clockwise, two go anti-clockwise. So in the last 100 years, there is the Walking Circus of Physics by Joel Walker. With scores of examples of this.
Yes, I got it.
That's right. Wow.
But, yeah, why is this happening? Can you explain your third physics? Apparently.
I think it's a very, very, very complex things going on. That's why it's not in the NCERT curriculum. Please understand.
No, it is. So it's crucial, of course, that these notches are made at a...
No notches. You have to. It must go inside, and you can hold the pencil from far away, from one end. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, get there.
Right. No, I got it to turn, but I have no idea.
I think it's vibrating, so
Some vibrations.
Still, it should go in a sense. So it's not crucial that this is at an angle.
It's something like a tippy top.
A tippy top flips. A tippy top flips, of course. No, there's something called a rattleback.
Yes, rattleback also. Yes.
It's like it's a little piece of wood. You spin it, it only spins one way. You can't spin it. You can't spin it the other way. Just a little. It's like a boat. It's like a little boat. But so there's something which is breaking symmetry here clearly, right? Because it's always going in this direction. I can't get it.
Maybe try rubbing from this direction. Rubbing with the left hand.
Oh, interesting.
And you see what happens.
Yeah, it's going the other way. Science achieved, friend. No, but it's interesting. I think it's something to do with how you're holding and
that's
going from one side.
We are breaking the symmetry.
Yeah, we are breaking the symmetry.
Interesting.
Crazy.
Interesting. Wow.
I think there's a good example. Like if anybody watching this, you can see that just having this toy is making the brain work in a very different way than it would, right? Like if somebody comes and teaches you symmetry of angular momentum and all this.
Correct.
It's insane.
Correct.
Can we make these type of science toys for like adults?
I think adults enjoy playing with toys too, because in every adult there is a child inside, and I've worked with teachers, and teachers say that the very boring way they had been taught, or the teacher training camps where someone lectures. Trust me, ordinary government teachers whom everyone decries, that they sign, they don't work, because their working conditions are so boring. There is a child in every human being, in every teacher. I can trust you during the training workshops with teachers, during lunchtime. We have to push them out of the room. That the mess is going to close, please have your lunch. No one wants to go. It's a very different scene because they have been enamored by it. It is not someone taking a roll call, why they're sitting, but they're just enjoying it so much. Because every teacher, and this is what, I think we can never teach anyone anything. This is, training is a taboo word. Horses are trained, mules are trained. You can only inspire human beings. You can rub a bit of your enthusiasm onto human beings. That's about what you can do. You can never train human beings.
Maybe one shouldn't attempt to train you.
No. But you see training programs all over the place.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So Arvind, for kids, I'm sure they see toys, it's great fun. Have you ever encountered the question from, this most probably comes from adults, what is the use of this? Have you encountered this?
Many people ask me this, that what is the science principle of teaching through this?
Science principle is one thing.
Also, what is the use of this?
Yeah.
And I think for me, I think play is primary. Play is primary. Play is very serious business. People who don't play as children, who are very authoritarian parents, they they kill others when they grow up. They make bombs, they make missiles. They're so unhappy in their lives. But people who play, who are happy with themselves, why should I kill anyone in the name of religion or in the name of language, or someone belongs to a different nationality or a country? They're much at peace with themselves. So play is very basic to human beings. Even if it's not play, it's not learning, right?
Yeah.
So all great learning comes through play. You see, the greatest scientists, many of the great scientists have been very interested in toys.
Yes,
very interested in toys.
Yeah.
So I think play is essential. And for me, if children play, and much later on the theory comes into place, even with just the play, just sheer joy on their face, that makes me very happy. That makes it. And the one plus point is that accessible. Like, for instance, I'll give you the example of old newspapers. Old newspapers, the cheapest paper, 10 rupees a kilo, we would send Radhi with. Half a newspaper, this is Sachin Tendulkar's cricket cap. We make 20 caps out of newspapers, right? If one child makes a cricket cap, no child wants to be left behind. But there is a peer pressure. Every child wants a cap. And once children are folding newspaper, it's like a geometry laboratory for them. Okay. All the angles, polygons, they've been talked about in the abstract, they're concretizing. At the end, they make something very joyous. They all want to play. So this is good science. This makes a foundation. It enriches it lays down the foundation for understanding science. This is what David Hosbrough said in all his books. He would write about trees in his books, David Hosbrough. He said, no, I've seen this. Gulmohar, I can spell. But he said, no, the point is not just to see them in books. Go out in reality. See, make a list of all the trees which you have in your campus. Say hello to all the trees. This is what he actually meant by that. And this is accessible to all children. The poorest child. We made 100 experiments with old plastic bottles. They become a menace. Plastic is littering all over, not into the garbage. They come into our gardens, littering. So we said the challenge lies on. So we worked very hard. 100 experiments with old plastic bottles. What all fantastic things you can make with them. Recycle. Tetra Paks. Terrible material from the point of view of the environment, because it's a multi-wall laminate. The layers of plastic, aluminum, card sheet fused together. You can't separate them. For any kind of recycling, you need to separate the paper and the card sheet and the aluminum. You can't do that. So it's going to be lying. So my first one book is Little Toys. It's by the National Book Trust. I wrote 30 years back. In which said, don't drink from the Tetra Pak, but pick up a Tetra Pak, and I'll show you how to make 30 toys with that. We do many, many good things with them. So it's also imbues a kind of sensitivity towards the environment in our children. That we need to clean up our act. We can't be irresponsible, right? Try to do more with less, right? We such water scarcity in Bangalore, and how much we can do to save water. Just this needs to be told to citizens of tomorrow, to our children. We need to tell this.
So, I mean, this thing that you said about geometry and paper just made me think, there are linguistic departments in universities, but language is an everyday thing. We don't think. So what you're saying here is that maybe there's a science and math department, but this is science in an everyday way, math in an everyday way. Just as, how you're talking to each other to communicate. It's a very natural, instinctive thing.
And then we can ask children to make the first step, drawing. What is the second step? And they write it because they made it themselves.
Right.
It is their project. It becomes a language project for them.
Sachin Tendulkar's cap.
Yeah, but also in I don't know if it's true or not, but geometry as a subject has come from trying to do all this, right? Trying to build all this.
Exactly. And we have alienated that into a department. Yeah. It's not flown back somehow, right?
Yeah, like trigonometry, maybe for architecture or whatever, to build something. I don't know.
Correct.
Great. Sorry, I have one question. Little thought-provoking question. What is the difference between a toy and an object? What makes it a toy?
I think if you can manipulate an object and do things with it. It becomes a piece of stone, can be a toy. You can make a toy. You can make a toy out of stick. People make lots of toys. Gilli danda hum banate hain. Take a stick, shampoo off two ends, you make a toy. So I think everything is it's a way of looking that everything is a toy.
An object with some imagination.
Imagination is a toy, right?
Yeah.
So imagining, like when you're designing a new toy, like do you have a process how to approach it? Like you find plastic bottles.
I'm fascinated with materials. Whenever I go for a walk, I always have a plastic bag with me, collecting old bottles, ice cream sticks, straws, whatever. My wife is not very happy with me, but this is what I do. Once, as a matter of fact, I was in Delhi and we stayed in Green Park. There's Arvind Place. There was a photo studio shop. This is 90s, early 90s. And I bought 1,000 for 25 paisa each. I was fascinated by these bottles. I bought 1,000 bottles. Now my wife was furious at me. So I said, look, I'm very sorry. I will not do this again. But now the challenge lies with me. And I wrote a book on this. What you can do with a bottle. Yeah. And we made 15 pumps just with plastic bottles.
These were these photo reel cans.
Yeah,
right?
those are very difficult to get by now. They're collector's items now.
Correct.
But with one time, every era would have its own crash. At one time, they were littering all over. But so you take that challenge. These were not there in Newton's times or Einstein's times. They were there in these times. Nowadays, they're plastic bottles. And the challenge lies, what all great things you can do with it. The plastic bottles, recycle them.
I think this is a great example of a toy which wasn't designed per se. It just emerged somehow, right? From play. It just emerged from play. There's just...
I'll show you one more thing.
You like just using emergence in everything, no?
No, I mean, it just...
It is true. It's true. It has emerged.
Meaning, they're just doing something.
Yeah, there
with
is no
it.
purpose to this
There's
toy.
no purpose.
You just look at it.
Exactly.
It's like a monkey looking at a...
They just put all of these things together and it seemed fun, I guess.
Yeah.
And you can do interesting things with it.
You know, one of the most mind-blowing things I figured as an adult is that I was always like, why am I studying root 2, all of this? And then I figured that the A4 paper size, the ratio is 1:root 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I was writing on that paper the whole time. If somebody would have told me,
this is what...
yeah, it's root 2, so if you fold it, it retains its proportion. And I was just, so
The golden ratio, right?
Yeah.
This is just a fat straw, and we've sealed both of them. Heat them in a candle and just press them. So you save on tape. Both sides are sealed, and you nip this with the scissors. Top right, bottom left. So diametrically opposite, there are 2 holes here. And then you make a hole in the middle. You can also double this and nip both the corners, you get a diamond-shaped hole. So this is my spinner. This is a rooty straw, a thin one. Made a hole here. Why this hole? If I shut this end and blow, air would come out at right angles. This goes inside. I shut this. Bring the spinner onto the hole. It becomes, for children, it's 10 paisa at today's global rates. It's priceless, absolutely priceless. And you can see this. If
You're blowing...
there's a particular direction it's rotating. If I reverse this, this is Newton's third law of motion. Every action is equal and opposite reaction. Air is jetting out of it, giving it a kick in the opposite direction. Jetting out of it, a torque in this direction. And if you torque in this direction. Very nice. Intuitively, children understand these things. Theories must come later. Have a rich experiential base. And with different kinds of materials, right? Plastic, rubber, whatever you would, all kinds of materials, because they have different properties for putting them together.
Is it the same principle as a jet engine? No.
Yes.
Yes,
Is it?
It's just...
It's like
It's a propeller, right?
Yeah.
Has any kid or have you tried to suck through it? So you blew air through it.
Yes, you can.
So Feynman has this very famous problem that he posed. If you have... So, there's this thing called a water sprinkler. Water comes and it... So the question is, if you suck the water, will it still turn?
I don't think so.
It turns.
What?
It turns. So that's why I was asking. And it turns the other way. In fact, there is a research paper in the most forefront physics journal, Physical Review Letters, as of few months ago, which answered this question. Right, so this question that came out of a toy.
Wow. Wow.
So that's a very, so if you suck it, it just goes the other way. It's
Insane.
exactly the third law.
Wow. Great. I think,
There's no end. Yeah,
I think this episode is like self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like what you're trying to prove, you're already
yes.
so excited by all of these toys.
Yes. I mean, if this is not friendship with science, I don't know what is, right?
Is there a PDF or something that people can download? I can put the link and they can make all
This
this at home.
is my website, arvindguptatoys.com, which has all my books for free. They can be downloaded in any language. And what we have done is, we have, for instance, we want to make the motor. So we have documented them into photographs. First, just the material, a battery, 2 pins, 2 magnets, a piece of wire. Second step, third step, fourth step, photographs and labeled photographs. Then you go below, you click and you see a film, 2-minute film on this. And you click below, you go to the page in my book and get the principle. So we've documented them. We have said that we are good clerks of our times. That's it.
So ArvindGuptaToys.com, right?
Yes.
Guys, please go. All of this you can make. All of this you can, I think for no money you can make. So please make. I'm sure there are more toys also in the...
We have documented 1,100 toys. Some we have not documented, but there is a whole array of toys which cover, and we have categorized them as per school subjects. Magnetism, all magnetics, air-related activities, water-related activities. We have documented them. There's a section on maths, what you could do, concrete activities in maths.
Great. I mean, also what I really, really like is this is not aping Western, Western education. This is using indigenous things that are available every day and finding the wonderful things in daily life. So that is great. Thanks. Any final words from your side?
Thanks a lot. I think I've had a wonderful time. Thank you very much, Biswa. Thank you very much, Shashi.
Great. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I don't see how you will not enjoy this episode. It's so good. Please, we'll put the link for all of this in the description. Also, we are raising money for Shashi to actually do science. So then we have 1 rupee link. No, I'm just joking. So please like, share, subscribe, etc., etc., etc. If you have any questions, if you want a particular guest for us to call, anything, just let us know in the session. We are also doing and learning, and we'll try to make it go, whatever you guys want, we will try to do all of that. Please comment whatever you liked, whatever can be improved. Like, share, subscribe. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's pray for Shashi's education. Thank you very much.